Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Witch on the Holy Night. So last episode, Sojiro and Alice made their way to the church. We didn't actually see Aoko and Toko's battle, we just saw the aftermath as Aoko is, she's pretty much injured. She lost a lot of blood, but at least she's still okay. So let us continue and let's see what happens today. So she's talking to Sojiro.
事の起こりは1ヶ月前、三崎市に貼られた結界の端っこが何者かに消されたのが発端だった。私が跡継ぎになってから5度目の三崎市を狙う敵の登場ってわけ。
So is this the time when they first what do you call this? Found Sojiro lurking?
今回の敵は私たちとは直接戦わず、まず土地を奪うところから始めたわ。今までのやつは私たちを半人前と舐めていたから、大抵は真正面から仕掛けてきて、勝手にアリスの猟犬の餌食になったんだけど、まあ、それはどうでもいいとして。町の結界には2種類あって、侵入者を見つけるものと土地の力を有効利用するものがあるの。敵が壊したのは土地の結界の方で、これが全部壊されると、私やアリスは土地の所有権を失ってしまう。土地のないはぐれ魔術師と同じになっちゃうのよ。もちろんそうならないように侵入者をあぶり出すための結界があるんだけど、こっちには何の反応もなかった。ま、当然よね。今回の敵は私の姉貴青崎塔子その人だったんだから。青崎の結界は同族である姉貴を敵とみなさなかった。あるいは姉貴は結界の抜け道、構造の資格をついたのかもしれない。もともとうちの後継者はあの人だし、それぐらいの知識はあったでしょう。そうして姉貴は私たちに見つかることなく好き勝手に結界の支点を壊し始めた。時間をかけてゆっくり壊していったのは、外からやってきた部外者を演じていたからでしょうね。さすがに連続して壊されれば、こっちも身内の犯行だと疑うし、うち親戚である浅木家とは仲悪いままだしさ。姉貴の芝居に騙された私たちが間抜けなんだけど、セオリーとして結界崩しは長丁場になるものなの。管理地の結界は強固に作られているからね。普通は半年単位での攻防になる。攻める側はまず結界を形取る視点が何個あるか、それがどの5大要素でくくられているか、退去の正しい順序はどれか、それらを地道に解き明かしていく。もちろん管理地の魔術師たちの目を盗みながら。対して守る側は侵入者がいることに気づくから、悪さをされる前に敵の拠点を見つけ出して外敵を排除する。こんな感じで結界崩しは長期戦、あるいは前哨戦になるものなの。大抵は攻める側が視点を壊すぞとアピールして土地の持ち主を翻弄疲弊させてから、魔術師同士の直接対決で決着がつくわ。なんで結界を全部壊す必要はないのよ。管理地の持ち主を始末した方が早いし、その後は術式さえ解読しちゃえば土地を結界ごと横取りできる。わざわざ壊して作り直すより、昔からある結界の方が土地に馴染んでいて強力だしで一石二鳥でしょ。
Okay. That was how Aoko and Alice were duped. They never thought the enemy would waste the time and effort needed to break all sigils.
だから私とアリスはとりあえず受けに回った。視点を探すために町を調査している敵を待ち伏せて、これを片っ端から倒そうって。でもそのうちの一つがケチのつき始めだった。三崎町の公園で山張って待ち受けていた時、どうでもいい第三者が覗き見してやがったのよ。
So this is when Sojiro saw them, that's it. Indeed, it was the ultimate taboo in the world of magecraft. The existence of mages must never be revealed to outsiders.
その後のことはわかるでしょ。私は敵との小競り合いをアリスに任せて、 それより重要な目撃者狩りに専念せざるを得なくなった。言っとくけど、これはあんたのことだからね。そこで我関せずみたいな顔しないこと。
No sooner had Aoko said that, Sojiro gave her that exact look. Clearly, he had been listening, but not necessarily understanding.
ま、いいけどね。宗十郎がそんなだから秘密は漏れなかったんだし。で、あんたっていう目撃者を消そうとした私の単独行動は、敵にしても都合のいいものだった。強敵であるアリスがいないんだから、敵はこれを機会に私を始末しようと、特注品の人形を差し向けた。と思っていたけど、あれはただの嫌がらせね、間違いなく。そうでなきゃ、私そっくりの人形なんて派遣するかっての。
Yeah, that puppet that she fought in Kittyland. Yeah, it's similar to Aoko, especially the hair, I mean, right? Sojiro nodded, thinking back to the Aoko replica.
あれのことは忘れてちょうだい。まあ、そこから先はあんたもうすうす知ってるでしょ。私とアリスは敵との戦いに専念することになって、毎日のように捜査の手を空振って決戦の夜を迎えて、今はこうしてる。大体の経緯はこんなところよ。
She stared down at her body as if recalling what had happened would help accept her current state. Under the sheet, magical energy steadily flowed through her partially bandaged body.
青崎、これまでの君たちの話は分かった。けど、肝心の今の状況はどうなっているんだ？
Sojiro's specific concern was the reason Aoko was lying there. More than anything, he wanted to know what had happened to her the night before.
バカね。状況も何も完全に私たちの負けじゃない。
Judging by her tone, she would have raised both hands sarcastically in celebration if she could.
負けた？
事実は正しく受け止めなくっちゃね。5つの視点が全部壊された時点で勝負はついたの。管理地の所有権は宙ぶらりで、明日には東子の手に渡るでしょう。で、それを阻止したいこっちは、私もアリスもこのありさま。もう立場は逆転したから、これから私たちは挑戦者。つまりはぐれ魔術師ってことよ。
Which meant that Aoko, Alice, and Sojiro only had a few more days with which to utilize the church's services. Ida Church was not only an arm of the Mages Association, but also the branch of the Holy Church that monitored heresy. Aoko and Alice were owners of Misaki City's spiritual lands, but they belonged to neither of these organizations. The only reason the church helped them at all was because they were the land's administrators. Once those rights were lost, the church would have no reason to provide any further aid.
エイリ神父はコウモリだから私を助けてくれたけど、ユイカさんは教会の代行者だから、傷が塞がったなら明日にでも出て行けって言ってくる。教会にとっちゃ魔術師なんてもともと排除すべき商売敵だからね。バカリツカはま、泣きつけば力にはなってくれるでしょうけど。
Sojiro understood little of what Aoko was talking about.
そうじゃなくて、青崎。昨日の夜、何があったんだ
？Sojiro pressed her, and Aoko really wished he had not.
見てわからない。惨敗なんてものじゃないわ。喉に食いつかれる。体中好き放題噛まれまくる。挙句に右のももなんてなくなってたそうよ。ま、 アリスのチョコレートのおかげで出血死は免れたけど。
Chocolate. She knocked on the cast around her leg. Aoko spoke casually but was trying to hide how much she wanted revenge. In contrast, Sojiro felt empty. The little color he had in his face began to fade. Was he repulsed by the terrible situation, or were his instincts telling him to flee? Regardless, he appeared very human.
なんでそこで固まる？あ、そっか。私を見て吐き出しちゃうぐらいナイーブなんだっけ、宗十郎ってば。大丈夫よ、今はくっついてるから。ゆいかさんは治療専門だし、私だってただやられてたわけじゃないし。復元は青崎の得意分野だから、あれくらい問題ないわ。
But yeah, I think she got it worse, I guess, when you compare it to Alice. Because, yeah, she said last time that Beowulf actually, yeah, was pretty much like ragdolling her, right? Biting her in the neck as well. She gave him a reassuring look, but his expression was unchanged. Aoko had expected him to worry, but this level of concern made it too hard for even her to berate him. Feeling embarrassed, she started talking again.
けど姉切ったら、どうやってあんなのを手なずけたんだろう。金の狼なんて伝説の中にしかいないと思ってた。神代の神秘であるあいつには千年クラスの魔術じゃないと太刀打ちできない。かといって殴り合いでどうにかできる相手じゃないし。
As images of the night before entered Aoko's mind, she bit her lip in anguish.
金の狼。
Conversely, the bizarre phrase snapped Sojiro out of his state of shock.
そう、黄金の人狼、金狼って言った方がいいのかな。狼男って言ってもわからないわよね。人間と狼のいいとこ取りみたいなやつと思えばいいわ。野獣というより魔獣の類よ。普通の人狼なら対抗手段はあるんだけど、トウコが連れてるのは黄金の毛並みをした怪物でさ。あれは原初の人狼の血統で魔獣を通り越して幻獣の域に達している。聖域の相手にはそいつらを上回る神秘、積み重ねた時間とか魔術の奥義じゃないと無効化されるのよ。魔術は万能だけど、この年月の差だけは覆せない。ま、人間の魔術師にとっては天敵みたいな自然災害ね。
Her words indicated more admiration than hatred. The way she'd whispered about the wolf. Strangely made sense to Sojiro.
何？
いや、要するに青崎たちじゃかなわない相手なんだな。なんてひどいやつだ。アリスはお腹が裂かれてた。青崎は傷ついてないところはないぐらいだ。子供なのに。いや、子供だから加減がないのか。
Sojiro's face was a ghostly pale as he muttered nervously. Aoko merely nodded in agreement.
ほんと。人の体を何だと思っているのかしらね。あのお子さん。
Aoko raised her head. She looked as if she had seen a ghost.
今、子供って言った？あんた、なんでそんなことまで知ってるの？
やっぱりそうなのか。金色の髪なんて2人もいないと思ったんだ。そいつなら一度見かけたことがある。
I think this is when Sojiro saw him in... Remember when Sojiro, Tobimaru, and Kimino were cleaning? And I think they saw someone in the building. I think maybe that was the point, right? I think, yeah, that was it. Let's see.
青崎が口にしたような怪物じゃなかったけど、森の奥で木の実が二人がかりでとっちめようなんて怖いこと言い出してさ、金一個ないから止めたんだよ。
Kinomi, sorry. I said Kimino. Kinomi. His tone was as curious as the things he was trying to articulate. Aoko, however, had more pressing matters. Much more pressing.
見たってどこで？
学校の旧校舎。あ、そういえば挨拶程度なら話もしたっけ。一度だけアルバイトの時に牛肉50キロを生で届けたことがあって。
50 kilos of raw beef.
この大バカ者！
I mean, how would Sojiro even know that? Come on. A strangely satisfying slap sound rang out. Ignoring her wounds completely, Aoko grabbed the slipper and thrown it at Sojiro's unassuming face as hard as she could. She panted as Sojiro was knocked completely out of his chair. For a while, neither moved.
なんで怒るんだ、青崎。
The boy asked, unfazed as he slowly picked himself up. He sat cross-legged as Aoko scowled at him like an enemy.
当たり前じゃない。なんでそんな怪しいこと黙ってんのよ、あんたは。
I mean, for Sojiro, it just seems like a normal thing, right?
言うほどのことでもない。
Yeah.
第一、君たちにこんな話をしても怒られるだけじゃないか。
Aoko knew he was right, and so she swallowed her words. She imagined themselves at dinner.
ところで今日、牛肉の山を担いで届けたんだ。一匹丸ごと。いや、あるところにはあるものだね。お金と食欲。
Look at these two. If he'd actually said that, Aoko and Alice's response would have been less than cordial.
そりゃそうだけど、本当に金髪の子供が旧校舎にいたの？
それが青崎の言う人狼かどうか自信はないけど。
I mean, it's probably it. We heard the voice of the wolf as well. It was childlike. It was young.
少なくとも町中の料理店が入れ替わりでおかしな注文を届けてるのは事実だ。
確かに食事のたびにあいつを外に出してちゃ目立つだろうけど。
She didn't want to believe it, but the child had to be the werewolf. Could Toko really have been so careless to hide him in plain sight? It didn't matter at this point. With the werewolf's habit revealed, Toko's base had been revealed too. To take over the bounded field, she needed an inconspicuous place to store the materials. Misaki High School's old school building was the perfect place.
つまり、すべての鍵はあんたが隠し持ってたってわけね。
隠していたんじゃない。だいたい青崎が裏山の掃除に参加していたらその時に分かったんじゃないか。飛び丸一人に任せず青崎も掃除に出ればよかったんだ。
In response to Sojiro's infallible logic, Aoko snapped her fingers. Instead of another slipper missile, she let the fateful white collar express how she felt. And with a tightening of the collar, Sojiro realized something. Aoko had changed. From the bed, she looked down on him with a commanding glare. Though weak from her injuries, she was as sharp as ever. He would be forgiven for forgetting she was ever a patient. She was raring to go. It went without saying who her rage was directed at.
青崎。
Aoko responded in a vulnerable tone. Perhaps she had been taken by surprise. Now that she had an objective, she had been lost in her own little world.
ありがとう、宗十郎。
He expected her to be sarcastic, but this was different. She was genuinely thanking him. He had never known her to be like this and was taken aback.
とにかくトウコの居場所が分かったのはあんたのおかげだから、礼ぐらい言っておこうと思ったの。それがお気に召さなかった？
いや、お礼を言ってもらえるのはいいことだけど、まさかその体でトウコさんのところに行くつもりか？
His tone was closer to scolding than sympathetic. Aoko simply nodded resolutely.
取られたものは取り返すものよ、宗十郎。それもすぐに相手のものになってしまう前にね。ぐずぐずしている暇はないわ。
She sounded unshakable. Even so, Sojiro would not back down.
勝ち目がなくてもか。暇はないと言うけど、今はそれ以上に休息が必要だろう。その傷だって今は見れるけど、昨日はひどかったじゃないか。生きていたのが幸運なぐらいだ。
違うわ。あれは幸運なんかじゃない。そんな玉かっていうのよ、トウコが。
幸運じゃない？
そう、トウコはね、私が生き残れる程度の傷にとどめたのよ。今回は見逃してやるから、もう一度やってこいって意味でね。だから私は生きてるんだし、トウコは私が行くのを待ってる。お互いがお互いの舞台の幕を下ろすために。そうでなければここまで待った意味がないでしょ。いやだけど、あんたの言葉を借りるならね。
Irritation tainted Aoko's words from the side. She looked terrifyingly serious. She was ready to fight to the death. Toko had given her little choice, so Sojiro could understand neither sister.
殺すために生かしたっていうのか、トウコさんは。青崎はそれが分かっているのに行こうとしている。
そうよ、勝負はついたけど、まだ私たちの話は終わっていないもの。確かに全開してから行った方がいいに決まってるけど、そうしている間にトウコは岬の深部にたどり着く。そうなったら私の最後の切り札さえ使えなくなる。自分にできることを自分からなくしてしまうのは。
Though the pain in her azure eyes was not as deep as the pain of death, it spoke of the regret she would feel if she did not do everything possible while blood still flowed through her veins.
納得いったのなら黙ってていい。これは私の戦い。あんたには何の責任も関わりもない私の人生なの。座して死を待つなんてまっぴらごめんよ。勝つ気があるならいつまでもベッドで寝てるわけにはいかないでしょ。
Sojiro was dumbstruck. Aoko could never let anyone else get involved. Whether that was because she cared or cared less, he could not tell. What he did understand, though, was if he wanted to stop her, he would have to do so with his bare hands. And he knew better than to try that. Even so, he had to ask one last question. If he did not, he would not be able to live with himself after leaving the room.
わからないな。青崎はなんでそこまでするのか、俺には想像もできない。君を縛っているのは義務と強制。どっちなんだろうね。
There was a sadness in his eyes. However, Aoko was unmoved by them.
らしくなく難しいこと聞いてくるのね。いいわ。口にしても仕方のないことだけど答えてあげる。その2つはね、常に私を圧迫してるものだと思う。けど 勘違いはしないで。義務も強制も誇りも恐れも周りから与えられたものじゃない。瞳子と戦うのをやめたところで祖父は私を叱らないだろうし、アリスも文句は言わないでしょう。ここで逃げてもそれはそれで誰にとってもどうでもいい話になって終わるだけ。だから他人は関係ない。本当に意味なんてないのよ、何にだって。でも私は瞳子から逃げたりしない。これはただのここにいるっていう存在証明なの。私は単に意味がないからこそできることは全部やるって決めただけなんだから。
With a fiery passion, Aoko Ozaki had said her piece. Sojiro was left with a bang in his chest. He did not know why, but her words angered him. Then again, at the same time, her self-confidence had him in wonder. Even though she had said that her life had no meaning, her stubbornness gave meaning to everything.
じゃあ、それがたとえ。
Without thinking, he started to ask another question. Maybe he wanted to change her mind. Maybe he just wanted to hear her answer.
たとえ他の誰も見ていなかったとしても。
It came out as a murmur. Indeed, if no one was watching, no one could know what she had fled, or know that she had fled. This was a situation Aoko was in. Even so, she shot him down instantly.
あら、見てるわよ。少なくとも私自身がね。
Her expression brightened, possibly because she had been surprised at having to state the obvious. Sojiro was wide-eyed in shock, but Aoko remained nonchalant.
知らないの、宗十郎。生きてく上で一番の観客っていうのはね、他ならぬ自分自身なのよ。だから人生っていうのは油断ならないんじゃない。
Okay. Look at Sojiro. Sojiro did not respond to her somewhat exasperated tone, but simply rose to his feet. He looked defeated, which was not like him at all.
宗十郎？
すまない。君が素晴らしいことを言っているのはわかるんだ。けど、俺にはわからない。
He meekly walked toward the door. As he placed his hand on the doorknob, he paused. For a few seconds, he fought with himself, desperately trying to think of something to say. No words came forth, and so he opened the door, which swung with a strange creak, and he left the room. After watching him go, Aoko turned her gaze toward the window. It was nearly evening. A thin veil of darkness was threatening to descend on the town outside. That was the way Aoko said it though. That's pretty good. Pretty nice, I mean. By evening, only Sojiro remained in the chapel. He sat alone at the end of the pew. Of a pew? A pew? What is a pew? Slouching helplessly like a guilty believer ready to confess. The chilly air seeped through the walls, turning breath to mist. The frigid air stole the heat from the body without mercy. Sojiro looked around at the chapel's tall ceiling and spacious hall. The room made the air feel colder somehow. Unsure of what to do himself, he stared into space. His thoughts were entirely unfocused. First and foremost, he could not understand what the buzzing sensation was in his chest. Time passed by, no answers came. To onlookers, he must have seemed deep in thought or in deep sleep, like he would turn to stone if left be. Either way, he clearly looked down. The problem was his lack of awareness, not that he was aware of it, of course.
Oh yeah. 夜間の礼拝とは感心です。
Sojiro raised his head and turned to where the voice had come from. Stood before the altar was the man from last night, dressed in priestly garbs. How long had he been standing there? Sound reverberated dryly throughout the chapel hall. Sojiro did not have the strength to stand, let alone leave. He just stared at the approaching shadow.
もっともこの教会に精霊なんていませんけどね。ここ座りますがよろしいですか？
The priest pointed at Sojiro's pew. Without waiting for an answer, he took a seat at the opposite end.
改めて挨拶を。私は文塚エイリ。この教会の何なんでしょうかね。書類の上では持ち主になるんでしょうか。エイリ神父と呼んでください。
Father Airy.
あなたは静木宗十郎くんですか。なるほど。確かにユイカには見えない。
Father Airy spoke in a gentle but uninvested tone. He was a thorough egoist. Sojiro knew all too well about people who spoke this way. The individual who cared for him when he first came down from the mountain was one of them. Sojiro glanced across at him I would say alphabetically. Apathetically. Sorry. Father Airy seemed unfazed by the lack of direction to the conversation.
少し君と話がしたいのですが、よろしいでしょうか。
Sojiro responded with a nod. Father Airy replied with an artificial smile.
青子が心配のようですね。
別に律香さんにもそう聞かれましたけど、青崎の心配はしていないんです。
Sojiro stared straight ahead as he answered, his voice sounding uncharacteristically weak and unsure.
けど今はずっと彼女のことが気にかかっている。それがなんだかわからなくて、さっきから考えてる最中です。
簡単ですよ。君は単に青子に嫉妬しているのです。
With those few words, Sojiro snapped out of his funk. He clapped his hands and turned toward the priest.
そっか、俺は単に青崎が羨ましかっただけなんだ。いや、でもそれは困るな。自分の中にそういうところがあるなんて気づきもしなかった。
Father Airy did not respond to his confession like ramblings.
それで話っていうのは何ですか？
いえ、話というより質問です。君は今まで山奥に住んでいたと聞きました。そこで一つどうしても気になることがあって。
気になることですか？
はい。おそらく今まで誰もあなたにこの手の質問をしなかったのでしょう。それはあなたが他人にその手の不安を感じさせないからです。実際私もそう思いますし。ですからまあこれも縁ですし、私も肩書きがこれですしね。迷える子羊がいるんですから、それなりの務めを果たさないと後ろめたいというか。
Father Airy looked at Sojiro placidly. His pupils were like black holes that could suck the soul out of your body. Look at his face.
おかしなことが気になるんですね。
Honestly, like Father Airy looks like he's a villain. Just the way he looks and the way he stares. But I don't think he's gonna be a bad guy here, as we have Toko.
その質問というのは？
いえ、ごく自然の疑問ですよ。あなたはなぜ山から降りてきたのか、 そこでなら君は幸福だったでしょうに。
Sojiro was not sure what he had done, but it sounded as though the priest was accusing him of something. And then again, it was a reasonable question, if a little pointless. Sojiro had no answer. Father Airy ignored the sullen boy and
山で
continued.
の生活がいかに厳しいものかは私も人並みには知っています。若い頃ちょっとした手違いで遭難したこともありますしね。山での生活はこの上なく簡素です。何しろ生きること以外に時間を割く余裕がない。楽しむために生きるのではなく、生きるためにただ生きる。生活は必要最小限をさらに切り詰めたものとなっていく。山での生活に比べれば、都市のあり方は楽園以外の何者でもないでしょう。ですが、楽園の定義は人それぞれです。
Sojiro still did not answer. His expression remained blank. The only sound was the priest's voice echoing around the chapel.
一粒の種の誕生すら喜びになる生活。電気の明かりがどれだけ暖かでも、自然のままの厳しい寒さを君は尊んでいたはずです。なのになぜ降りてきたのですか。山にいれば君は幸せだったでしょうに。
Father Airy repeated his question. Sojiro's mouth remained firmly shut. Not because he did not want to answer, but because he simply did not know how to. All he knew was even if he wanted to go back, he could not.
困ったものです。そこをはっきりさせないことにはいつまでも救いがない。故郷を捨てた理由もわからないのに、旅先の土地を愛することなんてまっとうな人間にはできませんよ。これは忠告ですが、全てを無条件に肯定したところで幸福になれるとは限りません。あなたはもう少し自分の心を許してあげないと。
Sojiro could not make sense of what he was being told. Only the father's last words made any impression on him. Being fair to yourself is easier said than done, of course. And what that entailed, Sojiro was uncertain of.
おお、そういえば。
Toku had mentioned something similar before, and it had impressed him. First her, now this priest. How could people know things he hadn't even told them?
すごいですね。神父さんっていうのはみんなそうなんですか。
Sojiro said, curious as to where the weight on his shoulders had gone to. In a way, one of his strong points is the fact that his emotional scars do not show on the surface.
ええ、神父は悩みを暴くのが仕事ですから。ま、大抵は暴くだけで埋めるのに失敗するんですけどね。
お、悩みを暴くってつまり相談事ですか。
そういうソフトなのも承っています。私が解決できる悩みなどたかが知れているようですけど。
The priest shrugged, looking a little discontented. Granted, Sojiro still did not trust Father Airy at all, but at that moment, anyone was a ray of light in his eyes.
じゃあたかが知れた程度の悩みを聞いてもらえますか。
君が青子をなぜ羨むかですね。
It was as though the priest could see into the boy's soul with his serene eyes.
まあそういうことです。自分でもどうしてそう思うのかがわからない。でもあなたならそれを知ってそうだ。
知りませんけど、まあ無責任に答えましょうか。それはおそらく あなたには根拠がないからですよ。自分の色がないと例えた方が正確ですが。
Sojiro squinted, trying to understand the priest's complicated yet concise answer.
ほら、そこです。君に優れた部分があるとしたら、その順応性です。山という異界から町に降りて一人で暮らしていけたこと、ようやく慣れた常識の中で青子たちという非常識と関わっても暮らしていけたこと、そうであると努めているにしても、あなたの順応性は際立っている。原因は知りませんが、君には初めから自我というものが第一に現れてはいないのです。何事にも対応できるものの、種に交わるほど器用でもない。強いて言うのなら、色の乗っていない空白ですかね。風景に溶け込む自然さは素晴らしい人徳ですが、自我がないということは居場所がないということですから。いいことばかりじゃありません。ユイカにまで見えないというのは予想以上でしたが、姿なき精霊すら捉えるあれが見えなかったのですから、君の無欲ぶりも筋金入りだ。
She can perceive even incorporeal element spirits, and yet not you. That says a lot about your lack of greed. As if amused by something, Father Airy grinned. However, Sojiro understood neither the meaning of his smile nor his words.
憶測に過ぎませんが、青子はあなたを見て反感を覚えたと思いますよ。
Resentment.
自分のないあなたは自己を押し通してきた彼女にとって認めがたいものだったでしょうから。そして同時にあなたは青子に自分ではどうしても手に入れられないものを見てしまった。
You see something in Aoko you could never attain.
言葉にするとくだらない表現になりますが、そういうことです。先ほどは嫉妬と言いましたが、それは訂正しましょう。
Maybe envied is a wrong word there.
君は青子に、いや、いいです。言葉にするのはそれこそ野暮だ。
Father Eerie or Airy smiled gently. It was a fresh-faced grin that believed or belied his age. Whether or whenever it came to Aoko, he seemed to forget his role as a priest. But that was irrelevant to Sojiro.
神父さん、それで結局自分は青子のどこら辺に憧れてるんですか？
Yeah, that is the word admire, not envy, admire. Sojiro responded to Father Aries' rambling by being direct. Some would say the priest had been direct himself, but this was Sojiro and he needed things spelled out.
今のでもわからないと。参りましたね。こういうことは言葉を尽くすほど実感が湧かないものですが、私も神父と呼ばれる身です。少し切り口を変えて代弁してみましょう。あなたは青子の過去を知っていますか？
詳しくは知りません。高校デビューとかおかしな言葉を口にしてましたけど。
全く知らないということですね。いいでしょう。ではしずきくん、虐待のない例え話ですが、君は突然自殺しろと言われて従えますか？
自殺ですか？
そう、自殺です。神父である私が口にしていいことではありませんが、私は格好だけなのでいいでしょう。青子はね、近いことを求められたのです。15歳の時に。彼女がそれまで積み重ねてきた努力も希望も過去も未来も全て捨てること。今日からお前は 違う生き物として生きろとね。どうです？それは自己の抹消、未来の死と同じだと思いませんか？
His words fit what Aoko had said about her past. Until middle school, she led a normal school life, or life, I guess. Then, out of the blue, she became the family heiress in place of her sister. Becoming a magician meant casting aside the life she had known. She had to leave behind her ambitions and prospects and live the life of a mage, something she barely knew anything about. Her life up to that point had taught her that everything from then on would bring her misery. Ako's grandfather was not the forceful type though. Your sister has failed. Now it's your turn, he said. Did Ako resist? Sojiro could not begin to imagine. All he knew is that she could not be happy with the hand she was dealt. Even if the life of a magician was attractive, to believe the possibility that Aoko could give her lifestyle up to that point was to know or not know her at all. Aoko Ozaki put her all into everything. She had probably achieved a lot in those 15 years. Her achievements and prospects were no doubt enough to make anyone jealous. But did she have the conviction to doze away and go back to square one? And square one did not come close to reality of it. The future she had envisioned for so long would have been obliterated.
青子、どうしたんですか？
いやー、これがもう全くの頑固者でして、立ち会った私でさえどうかと思うぐらい簡単にうなずきました。震える指を懸命に握り込んで、やってやろうじゃないと見栄を切ってね。彼女は祖父の期待や青崎の責任感からではなく、逃げることを嫌って魔術師の道を取ったんですよ。拒むことは逃げではないのでしょうが、青子にはそう思えたんでしょう。逃避という行為はこれまでの自分の時間を否定することになると。今までの自分を嘘にしてしまうのなら、今までの生活に別れを告げることを青子は選んだのです。まあ極端ではありますが、あれは前に進むためなら全てを捨てられる人間なんです。
An affectionate smile crossed Father Aries' face. Rather than signaling his closeness to Aoko, it conveyed the pride of a guardian.
ですが、私も思い違いをしていました。結局はそうなるように、青子は育てられていたのです。彼女の祖父は、瞳子が家を出ることも、青子が跡継ぎを了解することも読んだ上で、あの二人を育ててきた。形だけですが、私も神父としてさすがにそれはどうかと思いましてね。柄にもなく青子を説得したものです。祖父の思い通りになることはありません。なんなら私とメキシコあたりに逃げませんかと。しかしまあ躊躇なく振られました。その時の彼女の返答は今でも一言一句覚えています。
だって私一人がどんなに泣き叫んでも今の状況は変わらないんでしょ。私にしかできないなら正面から受けて立つ。たとえ不本意で突然投げ込まれた川の中でだってできることはあるはずだもの。逃げるなんてのは最後の最後。それまではせいぜい華麗に踊ってやるわ。
The priest recited her words as if recalling lines from a favorite play. It certainly seemed like something she would say. The last thing Aoko said in the room that she was recovering and probably meant the same. Of course, when an audience is watching, you want their approval. However, approval must come from within first. Aoko worked to feel proud of herself before worrying about how others viewed her. She at least wanted to do her job with grace. In response to everything she had lost, she would hang in there even if it meant going at it alone. As for why Sojiro envied her, well, that was obvious. To Sojiro, she lived her life with her head held high. He was a boy who accepted everything but had nothing. She was a girl who threw it all away but never lost a thing. That was nice though, yeah, the way they said that. He stood in the meeting room alone, seeing the ugliness within and the sublime outside. Looking back, he finally realized what was eating at him.
もういいでしょう。君は青子の容姿に感じ入ったのではなく、青崎青子という生き方に感じ入ったのです。ま、青子は青子で、れっきとした美人ですが。
Sojiro nodded. From the day he first met her, that was indeed how he had felt. It just took him till now to realize it. The strength in her eyes and her unwavering will had captured his heart.
なんかすごい汗我慢だ。
本当に。
Father Aries spoke from the heart. Sojiro raised his head, gave a small grin, and scratched his cheek, so many hours wasted brooding like an idiot. A part of him still felt strange, but it didn't bother him to leave the question unsolved for now. Unable to stay still, he stood up. He couldn't care less about the Ozaki family, mage battles, or Aoko rushing off to her death. Right now, he just wanted to see her face.
お待ちなさい。病室は立ち入り禁止です。
The cold words echoed around the chapel. They reached Sojiro as he was about to head back to Aoko. The sightless sister must have been waiting by the altar, so she moved quickly to block his path.
ゆいかさん、今病室には入れないんですか？
はい。しばらく人よけをしてほしいと、クオンジ様からことづかっています。
アリスが？
Sojiro was suspicious of why Alice would have said that. He could understand being kept out if Aoko was being treated or her condition was worsened, but this seemed different. Beside Aoko herself, said her treatment had finished.
人がいいのですね、シスターユイカは。そんな方便をしなくてもいいんですよ。はっきり言ってあげればいい。今から病室に行っても無駄です。と。
What?
青子はとっくに出発しているんですから。
Were they heading for battle now?
エイリ神父。
The priest began to explain everything from the pew he still sat in. About the things he and Sojiro had spoken about, and why he, a stranger, would be so concerned about a person he knew nothing about. It all became clear to Sojiro now.
初めからそのつもりだったんですね。
So yeah, that's why he was talking to him so Aoko can leave. Sojiro's voice was full of anger, but Father Airi did not flinch.
申し訳ありません。青子にあなたの保護を頼まれたもので。彼女の準備が整うまでの時間稼ぎでしたが、私があなたと話をしたかったのは事実ですよ。
The priest's attempt to smooth things over was far from sincere. Sojiro grit his teeth to control his rage. Why had they not stopped Aoko and Alice from heading towards certain death? Because both the nun and the priest were the same ilk as the mages. As such, they understood Aoko's decision and the priest understood Aoko too. Even if they did have the power to stop her, he would not have. The Aoko Aozaki he knew was not about to hide away in a church and lick her wounds.
アリスは。
青子と行きましたよ。あれから30分は過ぎていますね。
Okay, so Soldier is gonna follow them. Father Airy even went so far as to divulge the time. 30 minutes ago, at the same time the priest reared his head. It would not take even half that long to get to the school from here. And then another 10 minutes or less to get to Misaki High's old school building from there. Sojiro turned to the entrance of the chapel. However,
待ちなさい。どこへ行くつもりですか？
the sound of her voice stopped him in his tracks. An unseen pressure had locked him in place. Her admonition seemed to carry a spellbinding power, stopping the foolhardy boy where he stood.
あなたは魔術師同士の争いを知りません。何の助力にもならないばかりか、彼女たちの足かせになるだけです。彼女たちが命を落とすのは彼女たちの業によるもの。望むままに傷つけ合えばいいでしょう。あなたのような何の咎もない若者が教示に立ち会うことはありません。
She spoke with quiet anger. Her contempt was not directed at Aoko or Alice, though, but Sojiro for being so eager to waste his life.
何かしら希望があるのなら私も止めはしません。ですがこの件は別です。あなたが言っても彼女たちが助かることはありません。
She was right, it would be pointless of him to go. At this amusement park, he had been useless in the end. Now they faced something even worse. He couldn't even imagine how he might contribute this time.
言っておきますが、青崎青子は祖父に護身術を教え込まれています。魔術以外でもあなたより腕は立つ。その彼女もあの使い魔が相手では勝負にならない。
Sojiro's physical strength, his only edge, meant nothing. If he went now, he would only get in their way. I mean, what Sister Yuika is saying is, basically, as Sojiro is just a normal person, if he went with them, yeah, it's just gonna be a liability, and both Aoko and Alice is just gonna try to protect him rather than them being focused on Toko. They're now gonna put their focus on Sojiro not getting hurt, right? Yuika was correct, and yet
でも行かないと。青子には返さなくちゃいけない借りがあります。
okay, he still wants to go though. He spoke calmly but firm. Though almost moved, the sister frowned slightly. She felt bad for him, but her warning was for his own good. If he wouldn't listen to reason, then she would have to make him sleep. She raised a finger of binding at Sojiro.
それを言うなら返したい借りがあるですよ、宗十郎くん。それとシスターユイカ、教会内での魔術は控えてくださいね。使うのなら秘跡に留めてもらわないと私の査定に響きます。まったくおとなしそうに見えて律香くんより短気なんですから、あなたは。
エイリ神父、しかし
行かせてあげればいいじゃないですか。それともあなたはやはり青子たちに退場してほしいと？
その問題と彼の献身は別の話です。改めなさい、しずきさん。あなたが言っても何もできはしないのですから。
The truth of the statement cut Sojiro deep. But despite everything that was being said, his mind was made up. It always had been. Even if he was not certain, he at least would not hesitate. He had always followed his instincts to the end, no matter where they took him.
分かっています。でも行かないと。ここにいたら本当に何もできない。
His heart burned in his chest. While he listened to the priest talk, he could only think of seeing Aoko. He was not worried, he did not want to help. He just wanted to see her. He would figure out what came next once he got there.
ほら、献身なんて考え自体が間違ってるんです。足を引っ張ると言いますが、どのみち青子たちに勝ち目はないんでしょ？なら彼がマイナスになってもいいじゃないですか。どうせ破産するなら豪快に破産すれば。
神父。
ほら宗十郎くん、言って言って。シスター、今のあなたの返事で心が折れましたから。足動くでしょ？
As soon as the priest pointed at Sojiro, he could move again. The pressure weighing on his shoulders lifted along with the fear in his heart. Could he help? Would he expose Aoko and Alice to more danger? All such doubts had vanished.
行きます。縁が残っていればまた。
はい。なんであれ、後悔のない一日を。
And with that, Sojiro began to run as Father Airi watched with a look of satisfaction. The priest knew if he could not persuade Aoko, he could not convince Sojiro either. He watched the impetuous boy run away. As the blind nun listened to his footsteps fade into the darkness. Yuika was different from Sojiro and the priest. While she showed no mercy to corruption or self-righteousness, she embraced benevolence to the innocent. Such an ordinary boy with his life ahead of him, and yet he chose to follow heretics into hell.
最悪ですね、エイリ神父。分別のつかない子供を導くのが責任のある大人だと思いましたが。
She made no effort to hide her biting disapproval. It was simply her way of showing concern for the boy. Father Airi shrugged.
だから、いろいろと間違えていますよ、シスターユイカ。責任のある大人なんて言葉自体がおかしい。何が起きても責任を取る。それが正しい大人というものです。
The rest went unspoken. It didn't matter to him which of them died. With a warm, goodly smile, the priest corrected the nun's misunderstanding. Oh, it's over. The chapter. Witch and the Holy Night 2 now. Okay, but yeah, that was a nice conversation with Father Airi there, right? And Sister Suika. A Wolf's Tale. Okay, so yeah, I think we're slowly getting into the final battle now. So if that was I guess a chapter before the actual maybe final battle, so Alice and Aoko just headed there, and now our friend, our boy Sojiro, is gonna head out even though he has nothing. What is he gonna do? I don't know, we'll find out. But let's see. Honestly, yeah, it's nice that they're having a build up here. Like, even though it's just a little bit, it's nice. It's nice to listen to the new characters. Let me Father Airi there. New character, and then Sister Suika, or I would say Suika, Yuika as well, right? So that is pretty nice. So anyways, we are gonna continue this and do more of Witch and the Holy Night in the next one. So to see you then, guys. Bye bye.